What is going on, traders? We got a lot to discuss, but before we get into that, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. Now, when it comes to Meta, okay, I said this in my last video. I said I did not like how Meta looks, and I was pretty bearish on it. And the reason being is that, yes, we were above the supply and demand zone, this daily supply and demand zone, but if you look here, we have us a head and shoulders pattern. So you got your shoulder here, your head here, another shoulder here. And not only that, you broke below this trend, okay? And this trend was holding us up. Even right here, this is how significant this trend was because we broke below it and then bulls immediately or bears got trapped and bulls immediately stepped back in, right? So that showed me how significant this was. And I didn't go into detail because I didn't want anyone to like really trade Meta, or I didn't want to be the reason anyone decides to trade Meta into earnings unless I like alerted it in the Discord, which I didn't. But yeah, I was pretty skeptical about this thing, and I'm glad I was. The only thing I regret is not actually taking this trade because I'm not totally against trading earnings. So, but we were already in a little YOLO play, so I didn't want to put us into multiple YOLO plays. So yeah, congratulations if you did take puts on this thing. Right now, your key levels for Meta, and I don't really trade Meta, but right now, obviously 399. We go to the 4 hour time frame. We went all the way as low as about 400. Yeah, 399. So you break below 399, chances are you're heading towards this area right here where these guys are at around 390. And then after 390, you are pretty, we go to the daily time frame. After 390, you're pretty illiquid. All right. You are pretty illiquid. It may drop even. I couldn't imagine that happening tomorrow, but you'll drop pretty fast heading into that 390 area. So be on the lookout for that. Right now, seems like it's recovering from this gap fill, and I told you guys that gap levels are very strong, and breaking below them or even above them, depending on the direction of the gap, is very hard. So I wouldn't be surprised we start seeing some type of recovery heading into tomorrow. Well, not heading into tomorrow, but tomorrow. And another reason is that this is a really illiquid move. So we probably got like fair value gaps forming in this area. So I imagine I wouldn't say we're going to like do one of these where we're just shoot all the way back up to where Meta originally was, but probably like fill up half of it, maybe 450 retest before another leg down. But we'll have to see. I mean, we do have what we have GDP tomorrow, we have Microsoft and Google earnings, so a lot of those things can play a part in that. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at as far as Meta. Again, I don't really trade this thing, so I'm not gonna go too deep into it. But yeah, congratulations if you took puts. If you were bullish on this thing, then I am very sorry. All right, let's get into the SPY. So looking at the SPY, it is at 50184.84 after hours. I'm really surprised that it didn't go to 510 because in the back of my mind, I was pretty bearish on Meta. Like throughout the day, I was looking at Meta and I'm like, man, this thing might actually tank. But I didn't take the trade, so I mean, whatever. But I thought we were going to see at least 509, 510 prior to the drop, but it didn't happen. And so what I said in the Discord is that we may visit 503. We bounced off 503, which is at the top of this daily supply and demand zone. And if we don't immediately like bounce and start heading towards 510, then chances are we're looking at a bounce from 500 or 499 if you want to be safe. Now, the only concern right now, let's zoom in. The only concern right now is that we're inside this daily supply and demand zone. So a bounce is on the table, but it's really sketchy. Okay, it's really sketchy. As long as we're sitting in the supply and demand zone, I'm pretty neutral right now. Pretty neutral. Not only that, we have a bearish engulfing candle, so that's another thing. So I imagine we're going to open up tomorrow even lower, 500, 499. We break below 499. Next target is 495. I told you guys my short target is 490, so we can start heading towards that level. If we look at quant data, May 3rd is where you see the most exposure for that 510 level I was just talking about. So we could start seeing a bounce heading into next week. Maybe the rest of this week is bearish, or institutions are protecting themselves by rolling over their calls until May 3rd because when we go back to April 26th, which is this Friday, we're seeing that the exposure for the 510 calls dropped significantly. So either they closed their positions when we got to like 507 or they're rolling over their calls. So we'll have to see. But as you guys can see, we got a lot of put exposure for the 500 level. So that is something to look out for. And other than that, that's really what I'm looking at as far as the SPY. So we could head as low as 500. Lowest I'm looking at maybe 495. There is a decent amount of put exposure, but nothing too crazy there. So we'll see. We got Microsoft earnings, we got Google earnings, so we'll see how those turn out. And then we have GDP, of course, and PCE data as of Friday. Triple Qs. So triple Qs, pretty interesting. We broke back below this daily supply and demand zone. We broke below 423. I told you guys we break back below 423 in the last video. Then we're just heading towards that 420 level. Key levels you want to look out for is 418. We get back into this 4 hour supply and demand zone, then chances are we're heading towards 414. We break below 414. I would say 413.5 if you want to be safe. Then we're pretty much done at that point. I think we're just heading towards 404 at that point. But we'll see. We will see. Ideally, I mean another bearish engulfing candle, but ideally you want to get back into the supply and demand zone. You want to get back in above 425 for me, and then after that you're looking at a move towards 430. You break above 430, then you're heading towards these guys right here at around 433. Okay, as you guys can see, these guys pretty much pushed us down. We retested, these guys pretty much blocked us, and we got knocked back down. So that's what I'm looking at as far as triple Qs. ES. So ES is pretty interesting as well. So right now, ES after hours we're below 5080, and we're below this 4 hour supply and demand zone as well. And so what makes this interesting, and I tell you guys all the time, wicks tell you where sellers and buyers are. If we look at these guys over here, that is a lot of consolidation to break below. This is a lot. And for us to be like chopping these guys down and just starting to break below them, it gives warning that we could be looking at more pain heading into tomorrow. I don't know what causes that. I don't know. I guess it would make sense if GDP came out bad and then we just continue to drop, and maybe Microsoft and Google earnings and or Intel earnings saves the day, and then we start to recover back to the upside. So I guess that would make sense. But right now we're kind of heading below the supply and demand zone right now in the 4 hour time frame, and then we're stopping these guys out of their position as well. So that is concerning if you are a bull. 5080 is your key level here. You want to see us get back above 5080. After 5080, you're looking at a move towards 56.6. And then after that, you're looking at a move towards 50.50. All right, you break below 50.50, I think we're pretty much done at that point. As far as upside, 51.27, you break above 51.27, then you're heading as high as, well, you guys, my target was originally 51.40. I said that in the last video, and I imagine when we start heading back above, or if we start heading back above 51.26, then chances are that's when we're going to see that 510 move on the SPY. But for now, things are looking a little sketchy. Honestly, it really is. So that's my thoughts on ES. NQ. So NQ is at 17,507, pretty much the same idea as far as what we were talking about with the ES. As you guys can see, we are breaking back below this daily supply and demand zone. The higher the time frame, the stronger the supply and demand zone. When we're breaking above daily and below daily supply and demand zone, that's bad. Okay, that's bad. I know traders are saying 17,400 is a key level, and yes, it is. But if we break below this supply and demand zone, or we hold below the supply and demand zone until open, we can be heading as low as 17,280, 17,250. I imagine we're going to get some type of bounce around there. How much of a bounce, I can't really say, because as you guys can see, we got a lot of buyers down here. So for us to break past these guys, I imagine we're just going to need some crazy news for us to even think to stop these guys out of their position. But yeah, 17,280, 17,250, you can be heading as low as 17,200. And then after that, I imagine we get some type of bounce. So let me actually give you guys an idea. So ideally, you want to see something like this. Maybe we retest real quick, and then we head lower towards these guys down here, and then these guys. These buyers step in, push us back up. We get one more retest to about 17,500, 17,550, and then we head lower. So that is a potential move. As far as upside goes, you want to get back above 17. You want to get back above 17,800. You get above 17,800. Honestly, I don't think there's much room after that. You're looking at 17,830, which is where these guys are. So these guys right here, let's get rid of this so you guys don't get distracted or anything. But these guys right here in this area is what you want to get past as far as upside. So 17,830. 17,830, you get into 17,830, you can start heading towards that 18,000 level. All right. So that is what I'm looking at as far as NQ. Now let's get into some stocks. So Discord, as far as Discord and the plays, first off, I told you guys about the AMD play last video, and we did take profit on that. We took profit right here. So remember, I told you guys about AMT, the 152.5 calls. We got in at around 150 and yeah, 150, 151 range. And it ran well, it opened at like 156 and we took profit there. So congratulations if you're in the Discord and you took that play. Nice little 90% play. It went up a little bit more after that, so you might have made 100%, but regardless, we won on that play. Tesla. Today we took Tesla 170 calls. I'm gonna go over that in a bit. We took a loss on that. I did alert that it was a risky trade. Risky trades are always a hit or miss. You got to be willing to accept losses on those. Um, IWM. We took 190 puts for IWM. We'll go over that in a bit. Nvidia. So I actually want to go over Nvidia now. So let's go over Nvidia. So we took Nvidia 750 puts. Right now, Nvidia after hours is at 783. We got in at around 810. And I'm kind of kicking myself because I went over this, I believe, last video, and I even showed my ideal entry on Nvidia. Let me see. Come on. Here it is. So this was the move I was looking at for Nvidia, and I'm really upset that I didn't enter because I said 840, 850 is where I want to enter at Nvidia, and I missed the move. I didn't have an alert set, and it played out exactly how I drew. I mean, look at it. And this was April 22nd, 2 days ago, where I drew this out when I wanted Nvidia to hit towards 840, 850, and it did exactly that. But we entered 750 puts at around 808, 810 range, and from there it's pretty much been smooth sailing to the downside. We got a little bounce towards I mean not seven, 816 range, but from there it just pretty much been plummeting thanks to Meta as well. My target on this is Well, our first target is 780. I'm gonna just go over the first target. So 780, we could be looking at a move towards 780, which I think we got already in after hours. After 780, you get below 780, you're heading towards 766, 767. And then after that, you're looking at a move towards 740. 740. After 740, you're looking at a move towards 723. I told you guys about that 723 target. My overall target is about 700, 680 range on this play. Again, we got into Nvidia puts, 750 puts for May 3rd. Take profit at 40%, 680 or a target of 680. And then I also gave the option of 720 contracts if they want to go cheaper, if the Discord members want to go cheaper. So congratulations. We should be looking good in the morning. We'll see how that goes. We get below 780, then yeah, start counting. But right now we're in profit on that play, so congratulations on that play. Tesla, we took a loss on. Um, this so it was a risky play. I'm fully aware. Just trading this to the upside, and I even said in the Discord, and I probably should have listened to that. I said I imagine at open traders are going to FOMO in, and yeah, I didn't even take my own advice. So we did take a loss on this. We got in 170 calls at around 165, and then we got out the play at around 160, 159. Surprisingly, Tesla is holding up very well. Where is it? Yeah, it's holding this 160 level very well after hours, which I'm really surprised by, but I imagine that it's not going to hold this too much longer. For one, we are below the supply and demand zone. I think Tesla's going to head back towards this gap fill and start hitting 145. So we will see. The highest I think Tesla could go to the upside if you want to be bullish on it, is about 175. But I don't. Yeah, it's tough for me to see that happening right now. All right. Again, we took an L on that play. That's completely fine. It was a risky trade. I'm fully aware of that. It was up to you if you want to take that trade or not if you are a Discord member. But we were making up for it with Nvidia puts right now. We are really making up for it. So anytime I take a loss, I don't take my losses too lightly. We come right back with a bigger win. So we'll see how this turns out in the morning. Another play I did enter IBM puts. I didn't put this out to the Discord because I didn't want to, I don't like doing two risky plays in one day. So I kind of did this on my own with a YOLO play. So yeah, I'm sorry. It ended up playing out. I did 175 puts, and this is just me being transparent. I want to be 100% transparent with my channel. I did 175 puts for April 26th, and it was around one when IBM was at 183, and yeah, it's at 168.2. So that would have been very nice to give to the members, but again, I don't want to give us too many risky plays in one day. I try to stick to one risky play, two max a week, and yeah. So that is the play right there as far as Nvidia and IBM. Next is IWM. So why do I have this up? So all my drawings are gone on IWM. That's absolutely amazing. I imagine so we're in 190 puts for IWM. Where is it? 190 puts for May 17th. So we have plenty of time on display. My target for IWM is still 185. I don't know if I talked about this in the last video. I really don't talk about IWM that much. I'm not too much of a fan. But the bot in the Discord pretty much alerted this, and I just followed along because I was really liking what I was seeing on IWM. I mean, as you guys can see, we are just constantly creating lower highs and just lower lows on this thing. So my guess is that either GDP or PCE is going to make this thing fall even lower because IWM actually does react to bad news way better than the market does for some reason, like SPY and all that. So we will see. Unfortunately, my levels aren't on here, but we break it back above 199. I would say 200 to be safe. We can be heading back towards these 202, 203 range up here, and then after that, if we break below 190 on the IWM, then we're heading towards 188, 185 after that. So be on the lookout for IWM. I will go over this again tomorrow because all my drawings just vanished on this thing. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, we'll go over that tomorrow. SQQ. We did another play on SQQ. I alerted this like at right before close, like 2 minutes before close. So SQQ 12.5 calls. This was for May 3rd, and this was when QQQs was at like 11.8. Right now, after hours is at 12.2. My price target on this is $14. So yeah, I alerted this. So hopefully you got into it. It was like literally 2 minutes before close that I alerted this because I just really had a feeling that Meta was going to plummet. Not only a feeling, but just it just looked like it was going to plummet based on my confirmations. So $14 is my target on SQQ, which could be a bad thing for the SPY and the market in general. So we could be looking at more downside if we just so happen to head towards $14 on SQQ. So right now we should be in profit. We'll see how this turns out at open. Microsoft, my drawings are gone again. That's great. So Microsoft, I don't know. I really it's really tough to say. So what I will say, when Microsoft does this, when it consolidates, it makes a huge move. And I mean pretty that's like a no duh thing because we have earnings coming up. So Microsoft is really tough to call out right now. So I would say if Microsoft breaks below 396, then you could be heading towards these guys here at around 380. And then after 380, you're looking at about 360, 366, 365 range. So be on the lookout for Microsoft. As far as upside, you want to break back above 431 for more upside. But as of now, it's really tough to call earnings on Microsoft because I don't really pay attention to how Microsoft moves as far as earnings. But when it consolidates, I mean, you see it here. It consolidates, it breaks out. It what is this? Oh, this is a daily time frame. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. So when it consolidates, it breaks out. Consolidates, breaks out, breaks down. Anytime it just keeps consolidating, you see it just breaks out to the upside. So this could be the same move. I'm trying to see if I can see any patterns on Microsoft. I really don't see anything special. I mean, there is a bearish engulfing pattern right here, but other than that, I don't see like head and shoulders or anything like that. So feel free to comment if you see something on Microsoft. I don't know why all my drawings disappeared, so I am sorry about that. Google, I think Google actually, so Google dropped because of Meta, and I'm really glad we got out that play. I don't know if I told you guys I was in Google 170. We got out. Like we got out. We didn't get out on a loss. We got out on like pennies. We pretty much made pennies off that play. So yeah, let me actually show. So yeah, we got in Google 162.5 calls and then we closed somewhere. Yeah. So taking the change of Google for now, don't trust the market. Yeah, and I was right not to trust the market, and I was right not to trust the market because of Meta as well. So surprisingly, Google is still holding up pretty well in my opinion. Meta did drop it. So right now it's at the top of the supply and demand zone. If Google just manages to bounce here, it can head as high as about 175. So I would be on the lookout for Google. I really would. All right. As far as downside go, there are gaps to the downside at around 143, 140, so that is concerning as well. But either way, earnings is 50-50. Be careful. And that's really all I have. So majority of our plays, we only took one loss today. It looks like we're going to get some wins heading into tomorrow. Nvidia SQQ calls we are in, and that's about it. So that's all I really have for this video. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. If you disagree with anything I said, or if you agree, feel free to comment below. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what you're thinking. Discord link is in the description below. It's only $25 a month. $30 a month now. I do plan on raising the price because the way we are winning is I we're winning way too much for me to be charging so cheap. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, that's all I really have. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, traders.